Hey, poker people, it's Sky Matsuhashi, and this is the Smart Poker Study Podcast. In episode 153 last week, I answered 3 of your questions about apprehension in creating poker videos, how to best utilize my show notes, and improving that turn play. It's poker study time, y'all. Thanks for lending me your ears once again. Thanks also for subscribing and for telling your poker pals. I am eternally grateful for all that you do. And man, I've been super busy putting in tons of hours on my new book and the audiobook version as well. You might have seen me posting prototype covers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram recently. It's going to be released really soon, and later in the podcast, I'll tell you how you could be the first to hear about its release, as well as get your hands on it before it's available on Amazon. Alrighty, let's get to business. I'm sure that over the past few episodes, you've been hearing me say that I'm now on the Anchor app. Every day, I put out an audio segment between 2 to 5 minutes long, and it's always about poker study, maybe poker strategy, or mindset type stuff. Well, you really don't have to have the Anchor app to hear it on a daily basis. I also push it out as a separate podcast. It's called the Smart Poker Study Podcast on Anchor. All you have to do is go to iTunes, or even just any of your favorite podcatchers out there. Type in or say the words Smart Poker Study Podcast, and both of my podcasts will pop up for you. Please subscribe to the new Anchor one so you can hear daily poker talk like what I'm about to play for you today. So today I have 5 pre-flop related segments that I recorded on Anchor. The first one is about the 3 advantages. The second one, isolating weak players. The third is stealing blinds in cash games. The fourth is recognizing 3-bet opportunities, and the 5th is about 3-betting in live MTTs. If you like what you hear, please subscribe for more in your favorite podcatcher. And also, of course, like always, visit the show notes page for everything I discussed today at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod154. Okay, let's do this. Gambate!
And now for our feature presentation.
So the first Anchor segment right here is about the 3 advantages. The 3 advantages are position advantage, skill advantage, and range advantage, or even card advantage if you want to look at it that way. So here goes, pre-flop talk about the 3 advantages.
The podcast you're about to hear was made with Anchor. Make your own podcast for free at anchor.fm.
Hey, poker people. Thank you so much for tuning into another Anchor segment on this lovely Friday, shaping up to be a great weekend. Probably a bit hot here in Fresno, but, you know, with water parks and pools, we can deal with the heat. Or just staying inside in the AC, maybe going to check out a movie or something. But anyway, today I want to talk about an aha moment I had. A poker aha moment. And that was when I first heard about the 3 advantages. Now, if you don't know what the 3 advantages are, maybe this will be an aha moment for yourself. But the 3 advantages are positional advantage, skill advantage, and then range advantage. So first off, positional advantages, of course, we all know that playing in position gives you a leg up on your competition when you're seeing, or in every hand that you play. When you have position, you get to act after them. If they bet, you can raise to build the pot. If they check, you can bet to blow them off the pot. If they check, you can check behind to control the pot size. You have so many more options when you're in position. So that is the first advantage. The second advantage is skill advantage. So if you know more than your opponent, and if you're able to read into their plays and understand what kind of player they are and come up with exploits, then you have that skill advantage, which is great, of course, because the better player you are and the weaker players you play against, the more likely you'll be making the moolah. And that third advantage is range advantage. And that's basically having better hands than your opponents. Initially pre-flop, and that's what I'll talk about right now. So pre-flop, if you are up against a super loose, passive, fishy player, maybe the kind of player that we call a calling station, who just loves to see flops, and you're opening the pot maybe with a 15, a 20, a 25% range, but this player is calling 40, 50, 60, 80% of hands, then great. Your range, however wide it is pre-flop, is most likely going to be better and stronger than your opponent's pre-flop range. And that means if it's a stronger range, most likely you'll win the hand. without really knowing what the flop, the turn, the river cards are, just in general, if you have a stronger range than your opponent, you have a better shot at winning the hand. So those were the three advantages: positional advantage, skill advantage, and range advantage. So if you have all three of those in a hand that you're being dealt right now, then that's great. Go ahead and play the hand. If you have only two, for example, you only have skill advantage and positional advantage, then that's good. But think it through before you click that call or raise button, before you actually decide to play the hand. If you only have one of the advantages, if you only have positional advantage, but your opponent has a stronger range and better skills than you, or if you only have skill advantage but not position and not range, well, then you really want to consider folding right here. That doesn't mean fold every time when you only have one of the three advantages, but really consider folding it. And if you have a zero of the advantage, no position, no skill, and no range advantage, then 99.9% of the time you will want to fold right there. Alrighty, y'all, I hope that was a poker aha moment for you. If you want to call into the show with your own aha moment, whatever that is, I would love to hear it. I'll talk to you later. Wow, that was some pretty deep stuff. If you have all three advantages, you've got to play that hand. If you have only two, think about it. If you have only one of the advantages, probably consider folding. And if you're missing out on all three, get out of there. The next segment is about isolating weak players. And I think it's a pretty good one. You just may learn something right here. Hey, poker people. Thanks for tuning in to another Anchor segment. So every day, Anchor sends me a recap of how many people listen to the segments, the most popular segment, and who the most engaged listener is. And for yesterday, Bob was my most engaged listener. So thank you very much, Bob, for listening through the Anchor app, and for everyone else listening, whether it's through Anchor or through the podcast. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So today I want to talk about a little play called isolating. Now, isolating happens normally one of two ways. Somebody limps into the pot, and then you raise it. You make it 4 or 5 big blinds, hopefully in an effort to get everybody else to fold and to get that limper to call. So that's one way to isolate. A second way to isolate is maybe you want to target that big blind player. Well, when it gets folded around to you, you go ahead and open to 3 or 3.5 to 4 big blinds, whatever your opening is, and hopefully everybody else folds and that big blind calls, and now you've isolated them. You're able to play that pot in position versus that one player. Or in the other instance, when they limp and you come in a later position, you have position on them as well. Another way to isolate is somebody opens the pot. Maybe they open and then they call a lot. Then what you want to do with your good hands, of course, is to 3-bet. Everyone else folds, and then now you are playing heads up against that player who originally opened the pot, which that's another way to isolate. If you just call instead of 3-betting, well, you're probably going to get a few more callers. Now you're not isolating anybody. You're going to the pot or going to the flop multi-way. Now, isolating is a great play when you want to target a player, specifically when you want to target them and you want to play them you want to play them in position. They are out of position. But your opponents can use this against you. There is a stat called raise over limpers within Poker Tracker 4. You can pay attention to this, and if you find that somebody has a high isolation or raise over limpers stat, then you can come in with a 3-bet quite often to just deal the pot away. Because your 3-bet possibly looks strong, and they're often isolating just to play against that weak player. Maybe they have Jack 8 suited, but they want to play in position. Maybe they have Ace 4 offsuit, they have an ace. Well, you come in for the 3-bet. They're throwing away a ton of those isolation hands, or the hands that they choose to isolate with. So isolating can go both ways. It can work well for you if you want to target this one player, but it could work against you if you have somebody that spots your isolation raises, if they know that you do it weak, they're going to 3-bet you and blow you off the hand. But the good thing is you could do that same thing. Look for that isolation raise stat or raise over limpers stat and target those guys with a lot of 3-bets. So good luck isolating out there, everybody. Take care. Yep, I agree with everything I just said. Way to go, Sky. So the next segment, the third Anchor segment I'm going to be playing for you, is about stealing blinds in cash games. A lot of players think, hey, it's a cash game, it's 1.5 big blinds, I don't need to steal. But I have to disagree. You've got to steal blinds in cash games. Let's hear why. Hey, poker people. Thanks for tuning in to another Anchor segment, and I hope you're having a beautiful Monday. My Monday is pretty darn beautiful. We've got the solar eclipse coming today, as well as it's the first day of school, so the kids are back in school. Hopefully, they're having a good time. So I want to talk about a pretty simple concept about stealing cash blinds. Now, it might not sound like a lot. 1.5 blinds every time you open or every time you steal from the cutoff, the button, or the small blind. It's really not that much to pick up. It seems like it's not that much. But let me tell you, it really is. There's two big reasons why you want to steal from the blinds. Number one is stealing those blinds makes up for your losses, or helps to make up, or helps to mitigate your losses in the blinds. As you know, if you fold every single big blind in 100 hands, you're going to be a negative 100 big blind win rate. If you fold every small blind, you'll be at negative 50 big blinds after 100 instances. That's a lot of money to be losing. And if you're a decent player and over a big sample, your win rate out of the blinds is probably going to be negative 40 big blinds per 100 hands in the big blind, and about negative 20 big blinds per 100 hands in small blinds. That's a lot you have to make up for, and to help you make up for those losses is stealing the blinds. So you've got to be stealing the blinds so you don't suffer, or so that your losses aren't that bad out of the blinds. And the second reason for stealing the blinds is it makes you less predictable. You know, when you're constantly stealing your opponents out of the blinds, they really don't know what you might have. Sure, you could be stealing again, but you might have pocket kings this instance, and they just won't believe you. They'll 3-bet, you 4-bet, they 5-bet shove with their ace queen suited, and you just take their stack with your pocket kings, that kind of a thing. So the stealing blinds has those two benefits: offsets your losses in the blinds, and it makes you less predictable. All right. Oh, and then plus, of course, when you're stealing the cutoff on the button, most likely if you get to the flop, you'll be getting there in position. So an additional way to win the hand. Even if you don't have a killer hand and you were just stealing, you can use your position ultimately to take down a bigger pot because they called your steal out of the blinds. Alrighty, thank you very much, everybody. Have a happy Monday, enjoy, and be careful, of course, those eyeballs. Protect those eyeballs when it comes to the solar eclipse today. Take care. How to Study Poker Volume 2 is almost ready. There's still a bit more for me to do, but I would like to invite you to be a part of my pre-launch team. You can join by visiting www.smartpokerstudy.com/how-to-study-poker-volume-2. That's all one word with the number 2 at the end. Everyone who joins will receive a status update on the progress of the book. Not just one status updates, but plenty of status updates. You'll have early access to buy the PDF version of Volume 2 for just $7.99, a full week before it's available on Amazon. You'll also have early access to the bonus playbook with 4 additional weeks of study plans. And I think this next is the best part. Everyone who joins and purchases the pre-sale PDF will also receive the full audiobook version of Volume 2 for free. And there are a few other benefits that come along with joining. So learn more by visiting and signing up at www.smartpokerstudy.com/how-to-study-poker-volume-2. I appreciate all the support and the kind words I received after I published Volume 1, and I'm doing my all to make Volume 2 even better. Once again, join the launch team and help me out by visiting www.smartpokerstudy.com/how-to-study-poker-volume-2. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. The fourth anchor segment for today is about recognizing 3-bet opportunities. You might not realize it, but literally in a 2-hour session, you could have 160, even 200 chances to 3-bet. Wow, that is so many opportunities to do it. You really have to study and learn how to do them profitably. So here goes. Hey, poker people. Thanks for tuning in to another Anchor segment. So I received a call in from PJ, and he had asked a question about 3-bets. And I should have gone to the question earlier, should have posted the call in and then answered it, but I totally forgot space, and I checked it just now, and the call-in, I guess call-ins disappear after 24 hours, just like these segments do. So I'm sorry about that, PJ, but let me give everybody some advice. So if you're thinking about, or if one of your goals is to increase your 3-betting, the first step to that is noticing your opportunities to 3-bet. Now, if you're playing live, you can track this live, but if you're playing online, it's really easy. What you want to do is, as you're playing a session from start to finish, make a little tick sheet and put a little tick, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines, and then the fifth line crosses it. Use a tick sheet every time you have the opportunity to 3-bet. Now, the goal is, of course, to think about every situation that you're involved in, every hand that you're dealt pre-flop. You want to consider, hey, is this a good spot to limp, a good spot to raise, a good spot to 3-bet, a good spot to 4-bet, or should I just fold this hand, So if you're thinking about improving your 3-bet game, every time somebody opens and then and then it's your turn and you have the chance to 3-bet, make a little tick mark. At the end of your session. Look through Poker Tracker 4 and just filter for opportunities to 3-bet. And the goal is that your tick sheet matches exactly with your opportunities. If you're paying enough attention the whole time, you'll count and you'll tick off every opportunity. Let's say in one given session you had 150 opportunities to 3-bet, for example. Well, if you only ticked off 75, you missed half of them. You're not paying attention enough to your tables. Maybe your focus is on your Facebook, you're emailing, you're listening to music. Maybe you have too many tables up and you're just not paying attention, But if you had 150 opportunities, if Poker Tracker 4 tells you had 150, but you mark down 140, you're doing pretty darn good, That means you're noticing these spots where you get an opportunity to 3-bet. If you keep doing this, keep paying attention, you'll start to just basically notice a lot more 3-bet opportunities, and then hopefully that will also get you to start taking those opportunities, because you're going to notice spots where this is a perfect spot to 3-bet bluff, or a perfect spot to 3-bet for value, or a perfect spot to 3-bet an ISO this weak raiser that came in. Whatever the case is, the more you recognize your 3-bet opportunities, the more you'll be making them, whether it's value or bluff 3-bets. Alrighty, take care everybody, and if you have a question about anything, PJ, you want to call in with your exact 3-bet question again? I'd love to hear it. Anybody else? Give me a question. Take care. Wowee, that was some pretty good stuff, if I do say so myself. So next up is a little bit more on 3-bets. It's 3-bets in live MTTs. Hey, poker peeps. Thanks for tuning in to another Anchor segment. So in that prior segment about 3-bets and using a tick sheet to record your 3-bet opportunities, I said that I had missed a call-in from PJ. Well, I actually found it. I didn't realize that Anchor saves the call-ins until you delete them or until you post them on your channel. So I'm going to play PJ's call-in right now, and then afterwards I'll give him my suggestions for 3-betting in MTTs or live MTTs. Thanks.
Hey Sky, what's up my brother? This is PJ. I'm just calling in. Wanted to say I'm a huge fan of what you're doing over there and just love the work, and it's helped me tremendously. Yeah, you're the man. Anyway, so I got a question for you regarding live tournaments. I know you do more online, but I've noticed that I don't 3-bet very often at all. Like in a live tournament, I won't 3-bet until really late in the tournament, like towards the money, and then you usually get huge respect. They assume you have a huge hand, and I can usually get a bluff through late to pick up the blinds when they're really high. I guess I'm just wondering, I realize that works in the short term, but I guess I'd like some more advice on 3-betting, opening up my range to be able to 3-bet more often and when I should, and I guess just some advice on 3-betting would be great, and see if the way I've been doing it is at all a good idea.
Hey, thanks for that, PJ. I appreciate that question. So when it comes to 3-betting in MTTs, live or online, either way, it's a really good practice to do. If you only 3-bet with aces, kings, and queens, you're going to become pretty predictable right there. So the first thing that you'll want to do is create a 3-betting range off the tables, away from the tables. Choose some hands that you're going to mostly be 3-betting for value, jacks or better, and then ace, queen, maybe ace queen suited, ace king suited as well, ace king offsuit as well. Think of that as like your standard value range. It could even go as low as 9s depending on who you're playing against. And then you also want to think about some 3-bet bluffing hands, but hands that can flop some good equity. 9-8 suited, 10-9 suited, jack-9 suited for a suited gapper, ace-deuce, 3-4, and 5 suited for some nice flush possibilities right there. So choose a 3-bet range consisting of both value and bluff hands. But you're not just going to implement those willy-nilly. Every time you're dealt pocket jacks, you're not going to 3-bet it no matter what. Like, you need to think about the situation. So what you're going to do is start playing some tournaments, maybe playing those cheaper local daily, like $35, $50 buy-in tournaments. but go in with a focus of 3-betting more often. Think about that range you want to 3-bet with, and every opportunity, consider the hand that you're dealt, the player who opened it, and think to yourself, is this a good spot to 3-bet for value? Or 3-bet as a bluff. Now, the key here is to know why you're bluffing. Not why you're bluffing, why you're 3-betting. Are you going for value, which means that you want a call, or you want a 4-bet because you want to call the 4-bet, or you want to 5-bet yourself? Or are you going for a bluff? Do you want your opponent to fold? That's the first thing. You need to have a good reason. And then, on top of that, you need to have a plan. So, if you're 3-betting for value, what are you going to do on the flop if your opponent calls? What are you going to do if your opponent 4-bets over the top of your 3-bet? What if you 3-bet from the button and the big blind decides to 4-bet? What are you going to do? What if you 3-bet from the cutoff, then the button, the small blind, the big blind, and the opener all call you? What are you going to do on the flop? You need to think about these things, whether you're bluffing or 3-betting for value. But the big things are create that value range and the bluff range ahead of time. Play some tournaments with the intent to 3-bet more as practice. You want to see how this whole plan, how this 3-betting works more for you, and you just want to practice it, and then have a reason for every 3-bet, whether it's bluffing or it's for value, and then also have a plan before you throw those chips out there. Alrighty, good luck to you, PJ. Practice that 3-betting and let me know how it goes.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.
All right, I hope you all listen to that 3-bet stuff and learn a little something new from it. Good luck at the tables out there, live MTTers, cash gamers, sit and goes, online MTT players. Good luck making those 3-bets, finding those 3-bet opportunities, targeting those weak players, stealing blinds in cash games, and utilizing those 3 advantages to make better pre-flop decisions. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. The Anchor app makes it so easy to not only record audio segments for others, but it puts out podcasts for you anytime you want. It is super easy. So if you've been thinking about doing a podcast, what are you waiting for? The world is just clamoring for more and more audio content every single day. So now is your opportunity. I'd love to hear what you have to say, so let me know the name of your Anchor show if you start one, and I'll be sure to favorite it and listen to it. Now it's your turn to take action and do something positive for your poker game.
Now get it on.
This episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod154. And while you're there, right at the top of the page, you can sign up for my Volume 2 pre-launch team. Please join up. Thank you so much for listening today. If you can type the words or say the word Smart Poker Study, you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now Anchor. You can also hear the show on your Amazon Echo device. Just tell it to play the Smart Poker Study podcast on TuneIn. And of course, send me those emails, sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Alrighty, poker peeps. In just a few days, I'll release podcast episode number 155. And in that episode, I will continue the hand-reading MED with class number 4, and I'll discuss the best questions to get the best answers while you're hand-reading. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so muchas gracias for sharing this show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.